Hi there, it's Ophira Edut from the AstroTwins. Call me Ophi, and I am here with your March 2020 monthly career and money horoscope, which is sponsored in part by Monster.com. So this month, we're starting out with Mercury retrograde until March 9th, which is always a little bit tricky. Mercury is the planet of communication, technology, and travel. And when it goes retrograde, all of those things can go a bit haywire. Now, as we know, with the coronavirus going on and the travel bans, um, certainly the airlines are taking a hit, and there's a lot of people who are canceling conferences and trips, and for good reason. Mercury also rules not just the words we communicate with, but the air that we share and breathe, the things we touch with our hands. It has been retrograde in Pisces from February 16th until March 4th, then backing into Aquarius, the sign of the water bearer. Hello, wash your hands. March 4th through 9th. So the first week and a half of the month is a little bit tricky for that reason, because not only are signals being crossed, but there's a lot of pandemonium going on. Aquarius is the sign of groups and society, and I think we may see a few more quarantines as Mercury is in the sign from March 4th to 17th. People being worried about being around each other. Again, in some cases for good reasons. So right as Mercury turns direct or forward and ends this retrograde, there's going to be a full moon in Virgo, which is interestingly the sign of health and wellness and information. So here's hoping that the illumination of a full moon will shine the light on some more facts around things like the coronavirus, and will bring a wave of hopefully good health to the world. Who knows? There's, a scramble to develop a vaccine. I don't know how quickly that can be done, but the Virgo full moon could be a day that we hear about some developments, or it could be a day that, the full moon exposes whether or not this was created in a laboratory as an act of bioterrorism, as some are speculating. Now, the economy and money have made world headlines all month. The Dow Jones took its largest plunge ever in a single week. And it's no surprise because we have a rare and unprecedented foursome of planets in Capricorn until March 21st. Now, it's not unusual entirely that four planets would be in one zodiac sign. That happens, but the particular planets that are lining up in Capricorn, which is a sign of government and the economy and business and work, don't come around here together very often. We've got Jupiter, which is a planet of luck and expansion and growth. Mars, which speeds things up and adds stress. Saturn, which is the cautionary planet. It's kind of the counterforce to Jupiter. Jupiter makes everything supersize, and Saturn kind of slams on the brake and forces us to put structures behind our ideas. And then we have Pluto, which rules, all things hidden. Pluto's the mythological god of the underworld. So they're all in Capricorn, in the sign of business and governments and restriction, actually. So they've all been there since February 16th. And again, it's no surprise that shortly after that, we saw, this black swan event of the sudden virus shutting down manufacturing and industry, also ruled by Capricorn. Now, that's something we actually wrote about all the way back in November in our 2020 horoscope guide. If you haven't gotten your copy, grab one. They are on sale on Amazon and on our website, astrostyle.com. You can find out what this tenuous spring will hold for your sign and how to, navigate these intense planetary influences that we're feeling in March. It's truly March madness. And, we wrote extensively about a planetary event that hasn't happened since 1518. That's Saturn and Pluto on January 12th meeting up at the exact degree with each other in Capricorn, and we predicted that could produce a black swan event for the economy. Now, interestingly, the first coronavirus case was detected the day before Jupiter, planet of growth and international issues, left its home sign of Sagittarius and entered Capricorn, which was December 2nd, 2019. And that is its most challenging sign. It's where the planet is in what's called fall. So Jupiter is in Capricorn from December 2nd, 2019 until December 17th, 2020. So we have a long cycle where that could bring slowed down growth potentially, but a need to stabilize. Last year, Jupiter was in Sagittarius, so everything gets supersized during that year. A lot of risks were taken, a lot of over optimism potentially around economic growth and the job market. We had amazing stock market year with Jupiter and Sagittarius. Of course, the double emphasis on gambling and risk taking and speculation. A year and that only happens every 12 years. A year like that would produce that kind of a mindset. So interestingly, now as Jupiter's gone into sobering Capricorn for a year, we're seeing sort of the downside of being overly risk happy. And however, I know a lot of people are wondering, is everything going to be okay? There are people quarantined worldwide. There are actual deaths on the rise from the coronavirus. And, we have a real epidemic here on our hands. So the second part of the month is an interesting time because Mars, which we talked about before, Mars is the planet of speed and drive and haste and direction. It's a courageous planet. It's the warrior, so it likes to take action, and that's a good thing. But it's going to make contact with Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in the second part of the month. On March 20th, Mars and Jupiter are going to meet, interestingly, at the exact same degree of Capricorn, 22 degrees, 46 minutes, that Saturn and Pluto met at on January 12th, which was the moment that triggered everything that's kind of unfolding here. A lot lifted the veil on a lot of what's going on. So, we're not ones to fan the flame of conspiracy theories, but if any of them are true or there's any truth in them, I would think that Mars and truth teller Jupiter will certainly expose that. So, but it could also be a very positive day, for ambitions and hope and risk taking. It may be overly optimistic. There may be some economic stimulus programs that are announced on that day, or, opportunities. If you happen to be looking for work or doing anything business-wise with the launch, Mars is very fiery and courageous and all about taking chances, and so is Jupiter. So you may have a moment where you can really strike while the iron is hot and be very precise. If you know what you want to go for it. I'm not saying you have nothing to lose, but at the same time, if you don't, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So, and this is happening the day right after Aries season begins. We're in Pisces season until almost midnight Eastern on March 19th, which is a watery, flowy time. Pisces can be soothing, but also stoke fears and kind of it's this very emotional water sign. So a lot of reactions, a lot of emotions, a lot of, even misinformation. It's ruled by the planet Neptune, which governs illusions. So, that's not really helping matters to have Pisces season happening, especially as we recover from Mercury's retrograde in this sign, sowing even more misinformation and confusion. But March 19th begins Aries season. That is the first sign of the zodiac. It's a bit of a reset. We have an Aries new moon on March 24th, which also gives us a boost of courage and can-do energy. But right before that, on the 23rd, Mars and Pluto are going to meet up in Capricorn. Now, it's not quite as happy of a day as Mars and Jupiter. That can be, both of these planets are the co-rulers of Scorpio. So the vibe could get a bit scorpionic and intense on March 23rd. Competitive, some rivalries, some very intense highs and lows. That could be a day that the market takes a weird plunge or a crazy spike. There may be some secrets or hidden information exposed that day as well. So whatever comes out, it'll be interesting to have a new moon the next day to help us kind of make a plan of some kind for how we're going to deal with that. But again, but Mars and Pluto, both very strategic, kind of sharp, calculating planets. So if you are putting together some sort of a battle plan for your career or business or life, this would be a day that, if you're, again, very precise with your target and strike, things could go your way. But we want to watch out for a lot of intensity and people acting on anger and really hidden pent-up emotions that come out. Now, on March 30th, Mars is going to move on to Aquarius, where it's going to join Saturn, that's the big headline news of the month, really. So on March 21st, Saturn, planet of structure and business, governments, corporations, hierarchies, is going to end a 3-year visit. It's really been about 2.5 years to Capricorn. It's not the total end. It's a little dip out, but it completely leaves again at the end of this year. But from March 21st to July 1st, Saturn is going to move into Aquarius. It's first time there since 1991 to 94. When any of these slower moving outer planets return to a zodiac sign, we always like to look back in time and history at what happened during the prior transit. Saturn takes about 29.5 years to return to each zodiac sign. So when it does, it can reshape a lot of society, the economy, that kind of thing. Now, Aquarius is an air sign. It's about people gathering, public events. We've already been seeing some conferences and events and festivals being canceled. We may see more quarantines or more public health notices, people kind of isolating themselves for a while during this period. So March 21st to July 1st may be a time when we really have to deal with this virus and its impact. Groups of people also gather to go to their jobs for the factories and the manufacturing that's being shut down that will, drive the economy or has, driven it down and accounted for all the fear and the plunging markets as well, partly. So we will hopefully be seeing Saturn and Aquarius do some slow and steady repair work around the impact of this, because there's no mistaking, no matter how many, economic stimulus plans or loans or even bailouts are given, we are still going to feel the impact of this event and its worldwide effect on just people not being able to go to work and produce the goods and services that our world is dependent on. So I don't know that we'll actually know the impact of it for a while. That'll probably happen with Saturn. Now, Saturn's also about barriers and boundaries and protection. So if you need to get yourself that face mask to feel better, or if you are sick, definitely shield against spreading any viruses or coughs or anything, no matter what it is. It's just not nice to hand that stuff out as a rule. So put up the shields against that and make sure that you are protected as well from anything. We may also see with Saturn and Aquarius some new sources of information besides the news developing as well. Aquarius rules the airwaves, it rules the internet, and there are many countries that have internet shutdowns and blackouts where the government just pulls the plug on the internet and people can't get the information they need. And with, a pandemic possible here, there's that's not going to fly. So we may see some people developing their own channels of information sharing um, that don't require technology. Saturn is kind of old school, so our heavy dependence on technology may be called into question as well. And the need to come together more, support people in a community with formalized structures and groups may also take place. So it's going to be a busy month in the stars. At the very end of the month, on March 31st, Mars and Saturn are going to come together in Aquarius. Now, in classical astrology, Mars and Saturn are the two planets that are called the malefics because they were known to bring challenges with them. So Mars is like the gas, Saturn is like the brake. And when we have one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake, it's a little bit of whiplash. Whenever they come together, it can create a bit of a jarring effect where we want to do something, but then we're kind of yanked back. If you've ever been in a vehicle where someone just slammed on the brake and you kind of went flying back, it's a little bit like that. So, we will want to take action, but we're being cautioned at the end of the month to just not just do it out of panic and reaction. Really make sure you have a plan and have thought things through before you take any sort of action. On a personal level, that's the same thing too. Don't go rushing off to, just do something so you can feel like you're doing something in your life. It's better to kind of wait a little bit, get the facts, and then act on those, which is kind of good advice anytime. So overall, March madness is definitely in the air for money and career in the stars. And, I think the best bet is to just make sure you have a clear plan every day. We're going to have to wait and see what the impact of everything is here, but come on over to astrostyle.com to read your full monthly horoscope and, check out all of our articles and podcasts and videos to stay aligned with the stars.